Dear Mother Mary, please guide us in our chat today. Hello, welcome to One of Nine. I'm Maria Jones, and today we have Rosie, and Rosie's married to John, and they've got 3 gorgeous children and 1 very special baby who Rosie's going to tell us about soon. And Rosie is from the north, the proper north. You've always been northern.
Never lived outside of Lancashire. Oh, no, yeah.
The Lake
District. I count it as Lancashire because it's in Lancaster Diocese.
Okay.
So, never been outside of this diocese.
That's very holy
I've been
of you.
outside of the diocese.
Very holy of you
never lived
to identify a place of the diocese. One thing I want to have a look at is the candles that are behind us. These stunning candles that Rosie has painted, but will you tell us a bit about them?
So we started when Peter's our first, and then we had Mary, and when Mary was baptised, a lovely friend from our parish painted this beautiful baptismal candle for her.
Stunning.
So that was her gift for her baptism, and then I thought that is beautiful.
So then you backtracked and did Peter one.
I did Peter one. So
that's not
his actual baptismal candle. Because oh, this is mine, and I assume that most people still get these kind of ones.
Yeah.
Look a bit like that. And they're hard, unless you've got a candle stand, it's hard to get them out then for the anniversaries and stuff. So
you celebrate the baptism anniversaries?
Yes.
Good.
It was Mary's on Thursday. We went to a playground and we bought cake. Yeah.
That's so lovely. So you celebrate the birthday?
Yes.
The baptism day?
Yep.
Feast days?
If we remember. Yeah. Mostly cake or takeaway.
We don't do that, but I would love to. So look, there we go.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Just buy a cake. And then we've got the baby.
Veronica.
Yeah, Veronica.
Oh, wow.
It's okay not to do it for ages and then be like, right, okay, actually the baby's going to sleep in the evening now, I've got this time. So instead of just staying in bed with the baby, I'll get up and do something with it. Johnny didn't know when we got married that you could have gravy with your KFC.
I never heard of it.
Gravy? We did have a lot of KFC because of the gravy.
That's so funny. What gravy do you use?
The KFC gravy?
No.
KFC
They've got their own gravy.
The whole point of KFC is to have gravy. Yeah.
This is news to me.
Chips, chicken, gravy. The kids love KFC gravy. It's their takeaway of choice because of the gravy, because they've got something to dip their chips in. Yeah.
So did you grow up in Preston, Priest Town?
Very Catholic historically.
Yeah.
And then the Catholic faith kind of survived in Lancashire around this area all the way through the Reformation. So we've got a lot of kind of Lancaster martyrs, Cumbrian martyrs. I didn't realise growing up that not everywhere had so many Catholic schools and so many Catholic churches. We were driving to our parish on Sunday and we passed 4 other Catholic churches to get to our parish. And then I was counting a few years ago. I thought that for St Therese's feast day, lots of priests have a devotion to St Therese, and she obviously had a devotion to pray for priests. And I thought, what I'll do for St Therese's feast day, we'll buy some roses, we'll deliver a rose to all the priests in Preston.
Come on, that's inspiring.
That is lovely. So we did that, and I got a big bunch, and we set off at after morning mass, and it got to 2 o'clock, and I was like, I can't keep doing this all day. St Clair's, St Anthony's, St Joseph's, English Martyrs, St Wilfrid's, St Walburg's, St Gregory's.
And Preston, is it a town or a city?
It was one of the Millennium cities, so it is a city, but it's not got a cathedral. The Queen has made some cities in the Millennium. When I was growing up, it was a town, but it is officially a city now.
I've taught in primary schools for over a decade in the south of England, and I've taught children from India, Africa, all across Europe, but never have I taught anybody from Liverpool, Manchester, Preston, or anywhere in the north.
Why would you move out of the north? Why would you move out of the north,
No
Peter?
reason at all.
Only for love.
Only for love or marriage.
I can't do it just now.
Just like you do. Or at least a little bit.
Mummy, what's the special thing now?
What special thing?
Mary.
The programme.
Yeah.
Maria and it's a very culturally Catholic area, but that doesn't necessarily come with the depth of understanding that you might get in an area where you have to choose to be Catholic. So it's a journey.
So since you have discovered more about the saints, could you give us some names of saints that are from up here?
I should be able to. Lots of the famous ones were martyred at, or were held at Lancaster Castle.
Oh, okay, up to
John Southworth, Edmund Arrowsmith. I think those guys. There's called the Martyrs Chapel. It's got the names of all the martyrs all the way around the thing. So there's 40 canonised martyrs, and then there's others that are blessed. And I'm related to one. Yeah, blessed Thomas Holland.
What's your TV gig in this house?
We have a TV that is hidden behind the sofa, and we get it out when we need to get it out. It's very much a kind of survival mode type thing. Like recently they've watched more of it than they would. Before I was pregnant with Veronica, we'd gone completely no TV. Especially
so you did start with TV though?
I love TV. I watch way too much TV. When we were newly married, I was a shift worker, so I was a midwife, and Johnny was obviously teaching normal hours. So often we would be not in the house at the same time, so I would just watch too much TV. What's that one called, Johnny, with the lady? Oh, Millionaire Matchmaker. Oh, so much dreadful TV. And then when we had Peter, I got a bit of an addiction for Deal or No Deal. It was good because it was like, put it on at that time and I knew that by the time Deal or No Deal finished, Johnny would be on his way home from work. Yeah, when Peter got to the age where he was just like wanting to watch it all the time, I was like, I'm not sure that this is what I want really. The kids' programmes are on all the time, so you can put them on. When we were growing up, you have, what, an hour and a half?
It ends at Newsround at 5 or something.
Yeah, so you can watch it from 3:30 to 5:30, and you really Newsround and Blue Peter aren't very interesting, so you'd watch however much, like an hour max.
I actually really like Blue Peter, but...
But the temptation is just to have it on all the time. More for me, really. I was like, we need to make a decision about this, so we put it away and we get it out. Mostly when I'm pregnant, because I just have such a rough time, especially the first 12 weeks. Hyperemesis, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like being sick all the time. Basically, I don't get out of pyjamas for a couple of months. Sickness, vomiting, nausea. Yeah, not good. Not good. You were just emptying bowls of sick, for a long time. KFC and the TV. That's our survival thing.
Do you know what? I was in mass once. I was pregnant with Rupert, our second, and I was in mass and I was praying. And I thought, there's something I really want. And I don't think I've ever really had any other such. I did have a specific craving for hot chocolate before, but I thought there's something that I really, really want to eat. And then I was sort of like summarising all the thoughts, and I thought, it's KFC.
In fact, I think I sent you out in those early days when I can't eat anything at all. I've sent him to Odeon more than once to just go and ask for a portion of nachos because of that specific nacho cheese that they serve at Odeon. Things dipped in things.
Something else I must try.
After the initial trauma of Veronica, we're kind of like, right, we need to recover ourselves from survival mode and start living intentionally again. So we don't watch it Monday to Friday.
And how are the children with that? They rebel and they're like, we want the TV.
Well, they do want it because it's kind of like an addiction. But we just say we're not doing the TV now.
When we got rid of the TV, like they were always asking, and then they just sort of forgot to ask and got on with playing and doing their own thing, really.
They play so much more nicely when it's not out.
So did you have TV when you were growing up?
Well, we wouldn't have been allowed to watch kind of trash TV. So when I had my own TV, it was like watching all the channels. What's Kardashians on? Like that kind of stuff, you know.
We weren't allowed to watch TV. I mean, 999 would have been special, Blue Peter, Newsround. There were a few things we were allowed to watch. And we even were allowed to watch Casualty until my mum and dad started realising, hold on a minute. Like my mum would say, this isn't what it would be like at hospital, because mum was a nurse. When I moved out, I thought, great, I can watch EastEnders. So I put EastEnders on and I was watching it. And then more and more I started to think, I don't want you shouting in my house. And so I started sort of like, being a bit offended by it, really. And I thought, no, I don't want these people shouting in my house, thanks. I weaned myself off it.
Yeah.
You were brought up Catholic, went to Catholic schools, and then did you feel like, what did you want to do next? Did you just want to keep growing in faith, or did you start thinking, this is not really for me?
Well, when I went to sixth form, I kind of got involved with the chaplaincy there, which was just like, you know, feel good, Catholic, nice stuff, going on retreat to Ampleforth, that kind of thing. Went to Lewis with HCPT, and then just took another step and learnt more, and just been really blessed by so many amazing priests who have just been in the right place at the right time to teach me what I needed to know.
What would you appreciate of a good priest?
Everything. I've never met a priest that I couldn't love. I just love them. I think I've I struggled with my relationship with Saint Therese for a long time because she's one of these saints that everyone seemed to have a devotion to. And when I was a young adult, kind of trying to get to know her, I just found her so saccharine, you know, like I was trying to read a book and it just kind of repulsed me almost, which is a bit embarrassing to say that, but I just couldn't get into it at all because it was just so, I felt like it was so twee, kind of, oh, just do the little things. And I didn't want to do the little things, I wanted to like do the big things. My confirmation saint is St Hildegard of Bingen, and she was like amazing, doing all the stuff, like good at everything, so many gifts for the Lord. And I was like, we need to like, I want to be a saint like her. So Saint Therese was just like too little. Probably that's what I objected to, even though I wouldn't have known that. But what I did like about her was her devotion to the priesthood. And I felt that, I don't know where it's come from. And it's almost like...
so interesting you say that. I love the providence, all the things that happen in this channel. I read this morning, I was reading with staying at Peter's mum and dad, and they've got a tiny little book about St Louis written by Celine, one of his daughters. And I just read the tiny bit about how much he loved the priests. And he just had them on a pedestal, and he was so, yeah, he just had a great devotion, a great love of all the priests.
Yeah. You know, when you become a mother and you suddenly like really appreciate everything your mum did, like actually you've given your life for me, like everything that you've done in your life is for me. And I just, even like before I had that feeling about my own mum, like I felt that about the priests, like that they're giving their life for me. But not just for me, like for like everyone that they're serving. And I can really feel that, like every parish priest I've had, every, you know, kind of, everyone that's ministered to me, they've given their life for what they gave to me at that moment, but also how many other people are they serving at that time and still.
And have you ever had a priest that you've had like over at your house, you've invited over, you had friends?
Yeah, we tried to invite our priests over, our parish priests over, and like really kind of pray for them, try to, you know, let them know how much we appreciate them, try to write them, you know, letters to let them know how much we appreciate them, or send them cards and Christmas cards, and if you can remember their ordination anniversaries, or, yeah. So yeah, they've always just been there and like given me, fed me, and then passed me on to something, you're not physically passed me on, but then I've moved on to something else and there's been another one there.
So you've stuck with the faith, with your lineage of priests that you've
My
had.
lineage of priests, yeah. I went on retreat to a place called Castlereagh Manor, which is the diocesan youth centre for Lancaster Diocese, which is where we are. And they must have maybe at the end of the retreat done a plug and said, oh, you could come and do a gap year here. So I went to do that, aged 18.
With a group of other young people, and like sort of a mission type of...
Yeah, so kind of went there partly because of the Catholic side and partly to meet a husband.
Ooh, and did you meet a husband there?
I met a husband there. Yeah, my parents met at sixth form, so I always had this idea that I'd meet my husband young and get married young and have a big family. And the first year that I was there was no husband.
Oh.
What's going on? I'm 18 and I'm like, my plan is not working out. And then they were interviewing for next year's team, and I'd kind of decided that I would stay for another year because I wanted to go to university, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. They were interviewing for the following years, gap years, and Johnny came on interview, and I remember when we worked there, I can't remember how many we had on our team, maybe 10 people. So 5 people would be working with the group at any one time, and then the other 5 would be like kind of doing behind the scenes stuff. So I was doing behind the scenes stuff that week. So I wasn't dressed with my kind of forward facing, probably, I don't know what I was wearing, but I obviously didn't feel adequate to meet my future spouse because I walked into the office and I saw him there and I was like, that's the man I'm going to marry. He can't see me like this. And I turned around and I went back to my bedroom and got changed. And yeah, and then came back down. I don't remember what I changed into, but I very strong recollection of that moment, thinking that's the man I'm going to marry.
Wow.
Yeah.
And some people have that feeling and some people do not.
Some people don't, yeah.
But you did.
And it was very confusing in the in-between times because we didn't have a very linear relationship. We were together for a while and then weren't together for 5 years. And in that 5 years, it was confusing for me because I'd had that strong feeling when I first saw him, and then when we were together, you know, we were planning a life together, and then and then we broke up. I'd never had any other long-term relationships in that 5 years. But yeah, trying to work out what that meant when I didn't feel for anybody else as strong as I felt for Johnny. That was confusing.
Did John get the vibe as well in that instantaneous moment? Was it electricity going across the room?
We were very flirtatious at that time.
I remember very distinctly. I'd noticed her, but I was kind of like, I was meant to be on my interview week. I was trying to do like, oh, I quite like this place. I quite like to come here for my gap year. So it wasn't like. But slowly over the week, we spent more time together.
Hit it off.
We did.
So we had the weekend. We wrote each other a few letters. You sent me a few gifts in the post, and then when you came back to work at Catterick, you had a girlfriend.
In between, I thought I hadn't got the job because I was told I'd know by a certain date, and I didn't get told. So I was like, a week went by after that. I went, right, I've not got this job. I'm not going there. That's that.
But you didn't get your girlfriend in that week.
No. And I started dating somebody else.
So then he came back in the September to work.
I split up with a girlfriend pretty quick.
You split up with the girlfriend.
It is a tough business to step out into the game of love.
Hard. It's really hard. Oh my goodness. My heart was broken when we broke up. It was neither of our fault really, but it was tough. Johnny went and trained to be a teacher, and I went and trained to be a midwife. And then I was just doing all the Catholic stuff alongside that, so taking a step and a step. In fact, just after we broke up, that was the January, and then in February I went on my first U2000 retreat at Leeds. That was the first time I'd been to it, like, I guess adoration as powerful as that, and really just felt Jesus kind of consoling me. There was a lot of good stuff in that time as well. When I moved back from Catterick to Preston to start my training, there was a priest called Father Philip Connor who started a little prayer group at Ladywell, and we're going to go later to Ladywell, for young adults. And at the time there was just me and one other guy called John Paul, who is now a priest, Father John Paul. He's at the cathedral in Lancaster. For a long time it was basically just the two of us, and then gradually more and more people started coming, and it was such a blessed prayer group. We would just have adoration, pray the rosary, and then have some fellowship afterwards. A lot of the people that went to it are in, you know, like John Paul as a priest, there's lots of Catholic families. Not that both people went there, but that, you know, that group has fed them in their faith, and then they've gone on to get married to other Catholics and have children. Yeah, trying to find the right Catholic man.
Yeah.
And then
somehow you navigated back towards each other.
Yeah, so I was in a relationship, and it was Valentine's Day, and he sent me an e-card, and I was like, this isn't good enough for me. So, like, I'm not bothered about Valentine's Day, but if you're not going to do it, don't do it. Don't send me an e-card. So I was like, this isn't good enough. I was like, there's only one person that's ever felt like they were like the right person, and it was Johnny. So maybe I should get him back in touch. And we had times where we'd been, you know, texting or Facebook messaging or whatever, and we met up one time in between.
And how long had you originally dated for?
Okay, it sounds silly, 3 months, but it felt like it was like we would have got married. Like, we knew that we wanted to marry each other. That is, yeah. And then 5-year gap, and then I was like, I'm gonna have to contact him. But at this point, Johnny had been like, I need a clean break. I need to forget about her. So he blocked me on all the social media platforms, and we didn't have each other's numbers anymore. So I had to ask a mutual friend, can you get a message to Johnny? And she was like, well, he's trying to make a clean break. He's finished his teacher training. He's moved to South Africa. So I wrote him a letter, snail mail, put a bit of perfume on it, you know, sealed it up, posted it. How long? A week, 2 weeks? I was like, I've not heard anything. This is, what am I going to do? Maybe I don't know, maybe he's got it, maybe he's not got it, maybe I don't know what's going on. So I can't remember how I found a way to get a internet message to him somehow. And he replied, and he was like, no, I've not received anything. So I typed out or sent a picture of, I can't remember how I had a copy of the letter, but I must have known what I said, and sent it to him, and then, yeah, fell back in love.
So was that around, like, you had maybe 3/4 of the year left of him away?
Yeah, we had 10 months of him away, so we were obviously long distance for that 10 months. But it was such a blessing, actually, because all we could do was talk. So actually we were making really, really meaningful connections. Really. And then he got back in the December, and everything just fell into place. Like, he wanted to move to the northwest. But he arrived back and the term was starting, like there was no jobs, but a friend of my sister's was working at Stonyhurst at the time and said, we've got an RE teacher off on long-term sick. Do you want to come and have an interview and cover that sick leave? So he went and, yeah, they gave him the job that day. So he moved there, and Stonyhurst is maybe about half an hour drive from my parents' house where I was living at the time. And, yeah, got engaged in the Lent and then got married in the October.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was 2012. We're finally married, yay!
To John?
To John, yeah. And just assumed that we would start this big family. And I was still working as a midwife and was like, why am I not pregnant yet? And I probably started feeling like that maybe 4 months into marriage, like, why am I not pregnant yet? Because I'm from a family of 7, there's 7 siblings, and I just thought pregnancy just happened. And it didn't. It felt like a very long time. It took us 18 months to conceive Peter, and I just got to the stage where I was gonna ask for, you know, medical just advice, really, what was going on. Because working as a midwife every day, you know, I could be working on the postnatal ward. You're looking after 8 women, and everybody always asks you the first, you know, try and help with breastfeeding, and you get asked, oh, have you got any children? Have you got any children? Like 20 million times a day, it felt like, to my heart, that I was just being asked all the time, have you got any children? So I made an appointment with my GP for after Easter, and we went to a wedding of friends, a lovely Catholic wedding in Banbury. It was an Easter Sunday wedding, and came away pregnant. Yay!
Wow.
So
you didn't need any intervention?
So I didn't need any intervention.
A lot of people talk about going away and then getting
Yeah, it seems to be a thing, which is just the most unhelpful thing to hear when you're trying for a baby. Like, people say all the time, oh, just stop worrying about it, it'll happen. Shut up. Yeah, it was a really hard 18 months. Not hard, because I was newlywed, like, it was lovely, and, you know, we were just so delighted to be married to each other and finally, you know, be together. But every month, yeah, cycle arrived and it was like, oh, probably like one of the biggest crosses. And, you know, I started to feel like, you know, I'd see other people getting married and getting pregnant, and I hated the fact that I resented other people's happiness. Not that I didn't want them to be pregnant or have a baby, but I just felt that's why is this not happening for me? Like, I couldn't understand why I would get this amazing husband and have this lovely marriage if I wasn't supposed to be a mother. And then I got pregnant with Peter. About a week later, started being sick, like 10 plus times a day, all the way through the night. Johnny was just basically my carer for kind of 8 weeks. I couldn't get out of bed. Once a week he'd kind of carry me into the bath and shower me down. Like, it was really hard, and I was like, okay, this is probably why we didn't get pregnant straight away, because this is very, very tough. It was really hard. Really, pregnancy is very tough. I tried various different anti-sicknesses. I never had to be admitted. Yeah, we just kind of sat it out, and then had Peter, and then the dream began. Yeah, it was lovely. And I had this worry that it would take another 18 months to get pregnant after Peter. Got to 12 months, and I was supposed to go back to work, and I just couldn't. We kind of attachment parent. Not by accident, but like, I never looked into parenting styles or whatever, but he was a very attached baby, breastfeeding all the time, all day, all night. And I just couldn't imagine how I could leave him with anybody else, because he just fed all the time. And especially like doing night shifts. So I gave up work and was thinking, right, I'm ready for another baby now, and I really hope that it doesn't take this long to get pregnant again. I'll tell you this story because it's lovely. So I told you that me and St. Therese didn't have a great relationship. And then her relics came on the tour. I don't know, did you remember that? Her relics came across and did a tour of all the English dioceses. And that was a turning point for our relationship. I said to her, I'll give you a try. You're holier than I am, so why don't you kind of try and make us friends? And she obviously did. And I can't pinpoint when she became my go-to saint, but she did at some point. And so after Peter, I was, can we have another baby, please, St. Therese? Would you pray for that? One day, I was backing into our drive, and at the time we lived on quite a busy road, and we had a drive, and the next door neighbours, just in between these tarmac drives, there's just one like hedge, just a hedge, like not plants or anything, just a hedge. And I backed into the drive and I looked to the side and there was just this beautiful pink rose just growing out of the hedge. Didn't connect at all. I just saw this rose and I thought, that is so beautiful. Why is that growing out of there? And I took a picture of it. And then 2-3 weeks later we found out that we were pregnant. And I looked at that picture and I looked at the date and it must have been that day that we got pregnant.
Wow. I wonder if anyone else has got stories of and one rose when it comes.
I'd heard stories before of her giving roses and I'm like, those kind of things don't happen to me. Like, I'm not that person. And then she sent a rose. Saint Therese, when she was on earth, said that when she's in heaven, that she would pray for people, and often people see roses or smell roses as a consolation
or
from
meet
her.
roses. Was there anything about the Catholic Church and the teachings that you struggled with? Did you ever think, I've got a number of amount of children that I want to have and I'll stop there? Or did you just think, I just want more and more and be open? Was there anything you struggled with?
What I had discovered in my journey is that when I follow the Church's teachings, that is when I am at peace. Her teaching on birth control and artificial contraception isn't something that I've struggled with. After Andrew, Veronica was the first baby where it was that very first cycle Veronica arrived.
So last summer, you discovered you were expecting sweet Veronica.
We did. Darling Veronica Joy. Yeah, baby number 4.
Do you usually find out if you're having a girl or a boy?
No. Yes. We didn't find out with Peter. I think my preference would be not to, but Johnny likes to find out. And we found out at 16 weeks with Veronica.
Veronica was a very special baby. Will you share a bit more about her?
Yeah, so Veronica...
so you got pregnant, you probably just thought, pregnant, normal. There we go.
Normal. Got sick on cue, entered survival mode.
When does your horrible first trimester end? Because I know the official date is 12 weeks. And
Yeah, actually I am... The more pregnancies I have, the more 12 weeks is kind of a marker. It's not that I feel great, but I am more functional after 12 weeks. The reassuring thing about feeling so grim is that I tend not to have the fear going to scan that everything's not going to be all right, because I felt so sick. And generally, women who are so sick don't tend to miscarry. So I went to the scan thinking that probably everything would be fine because I'd been so as sick as the other ones. Obviously, we're in pandemic mode, so Johnny wasn't allowed to the scan, and a midwife called Lisa was scanning me, and she said, oh, there's the heartbeat, look at the heartbeat, and then kept looking for a long time, and it didn't actually click at the time. I was so pleased to have seen the heartbeat. There's that reassurance. And she said, Rosie, I'm struggling to see normal skull formation. And I knew what that meant. But I didn't feel sad then. I was glad that she was there, but I knew that she would die. And she said, I'm going to get another sonographer to come and double check. And I said, can I ring Johnny? And I rang him at work, and I said, it's okay, baby's got a heartbeat, but they can't see her skull. And I didn't say to him what that meant, because no one had, it's not like the sonographer had said what that meant. I just knew because of my training, and we have, there's another couple in our diocese who had a baby, little Eliza, who had the same condition. So I knew that it was a fatal condition. When she was very early in her development, around about 5 weeks, when the neural tube is closing at the bottom, if that doesn't close properly, that causes spina bifida, and if it doesn't close properly at the top, it causes anencephaly, which is what Veronica had, which means that the skull didn't form. Actually, at the 12-week scan, she still had all her brain, But as the pregnancy goes on, there isn't anything covering that. There's no skin, it's just kind of membrane, so the amniotic fluid just kind of, it just disintegrates basically. So the babies are born with a brain stem, but no bone above their eyes, and no brain tissue. Johnny walked over from school, took him maybe 15 minutes to arrive, and they told us, this is what your daughter has. We didn't know she was a girl at the time. This is what your baby has. And we were like, okay, this is what our baby has. He said, well, do you want a bit of time to process it? You can come back on Monday and we can scan again and give you more information. So we came back on the Monday just to see baby again and just start connecting with her really for a little short life. And we knew we went away from that appointment and I just started reading everything like you do. Babies with anencephaly usually survive to term, and about 20 to 25% will die during labour, and most babies will then pass within the first 24 hours of life. And from when they said the diagnosis, we were very clear that she was our daughter and we were going to carry her. And very fortunately, we had a very understanding team who didn't press any other options, because that would have been hard to keep hearing how little other people valued her life, which they didn't push.
Thank God.
Thank God.
You wanted to share her life. And so that's when I first discovered you, Rosie.
Yeah.
A suggested friend on Instagram.
I'd been off social media for about a year because parenting, it was just a distraction for me and not edifying, not helpful for me. But especially it all happening in the middle of the pandemic, I thought that if I didn't say anything, there will be lots of people who saw me last before a pandemic happened, saw me after the pandemic and wouldn't know that we'd had a baby. And I wanted people to know about. So I shared about her.
It came across, and I think this is what you wanted, the joy. And she's called Veronica Joy.
She's called Veronica Joy.
It was so joyful.
We're having scans about every month because they offered them so that we could see her and have those memories with her. All our children have got New Testament names, so we wanted a name kind of, I know she's not mentioned in the Gospels, but yeah, traditionally she is a New Testament
she
figure.
wasn't mentioned in the Gospels. I presume she was. She's in the Stations
She's
of
in
the
the
Cross.
Stations of the Cross, but she's not. She's not mentioned.
How do we know
No.
about her?
There must be a
Through the tradition of the Stations of the
yeah, it must be.
the Stations of the Cross.
And her proximity to Christ's suffering, and I guess we were expecting a lot of suffering, but we were also experiencing great joy. And then my brother-in-law said, oh, Veronica means true image, and then it just felt perfect. It's been a time of such grace. Her whole pregnancy and her whole life was just gift. You probably know, when you have your first baby, you get lots of cards. And then with other babies, it kind of dwindles off. I remember after Mary, I was like, oh, poor Mary. She's got like very few new baby cards. I got so many. And I was ordering I made little thank you notes with a few photographs. And we were trying to work out how many we needed to order. And I thought, I think we sent out back 50 Christmas cards, so maybe around 50, we'll get 6, should we get 70 just to be on the safe side? So we ordered 70, and I was just going through all the cards, writing down a thank you card to everyone that sent us something, and the 70 just got used, so we had to order a second batch.
Wow.
So many people have been praying and offering their love and support, and just how touched they've been by her little life.
Was she as active as your other babies?
So much more active. Yeah, she was really busy all the time. So they did get to feel her. And after she was born, she passed during labour. But it was a really blessed labour. It was really short and straightforward, and it was just what I'd prayed for. And I had so much peace when she was born. She was born with the waters around it. My hindwaters had gone, so I had about 8 litres of fluid. But she was born with the waters around, so she'd been kind of protected, her head had been protected as she was delivered.
That's really special.
So she was born, and then I got to kind of peel the waters away and just pick her up, and Johnny baptised her. And we just got to hold her and be with her. And it was just so special, just so much peace and so much joy. One of my nieces, Violet, knitted this for Veronica. She's only 11, and she started knitting this very early in Veronica's pregnancy. So she was sad when she learnt that Veronica wasn't going to live, because she thought she wouldn't get a chance to use the blanket, but she did. We wrapped her in that, didn't we?
Yeah.
She spent a lot
of time in that blanket.
Once she was born, we never got to see her move, but she looks just the same. So it's nice to watch that video of her in utero moving around and know what she looked like, and to be able to connect the two, that she was very much alive, very much the same beautiful baby. She was born in the evening, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That's when our Canon Christophe
Yeah, so that's Canon Christophe coming to give her confirmation.
We didn't cry at all when she was born for the whole first evening that we spent with her.
Yeah.
It was
just only when I went home, I went home to be with the kids, and that was when I struggled, and I don't know if that's when you struggled as well, coming back in the morning. But when I was with her, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't.
And my brother came, he's got a nice camera, and took some lovely pictures of us. And then coming home to meet the children. And they were just so interested, and they just didn't see, they knew that she looked different from other babies, but it wasn't anything that bothered them at all. Absolutely didn't faze them. They were just so interested, happy to look at her, happy to see, where the missing bone was. And this is one of my favourite pictures, because I can see here how just the resemblance between Mary and it's just the two sisters, and Mary was so looking forward to having a baby sister. My two girls. And that's the weekend that Rory and Emily got engaged. So they came.
They got married that weekend. Yeah, that's the marriage weekend. They came over.
They were only allowed, was it 12 people at the wedding? But they came and did a whistle-stop tour afterwards, and had a little.
Came to see us afterwards.
Had a little hold of her. Those are those little crossed ankles that we saw here. I don't know if you can see, but that's just how she was. These two little feet together. A friend of ours gifted us a swaddle with the pattern of Our Lady's mantle from Our Lady of Guadalupe. So we wrapped her in that, said our goodbyes, and put her in her coffin. And it's not hard to look at her photos. I thought it might be difficult, but it's just all time that I want to remember. All of it. All of it. We really thought that when she was born we'd want to keep her head covered and make her look as kind of normal as possible. But the more time we spent with her, the more we realised that she was just the most beautiful to us when she was just as she was. So the pictures that we have in our space are the ones where she just looks most like herself. Because it's just...
Yeah, this one we have in the fridge is just, joy.
That's the real feeling. That's how we felt. Just look at our beautiful girl.